go ahead and take. You want me to take?
You want me to use? Okay, well, Hi, everybody.
Why don't you get out of here, huh?
He said it. He said it. He said the title of the movie for this week. All right, so everybody, for this week's episode, we watched the movie Get Out, which is Jordan Peele's. It was his first movie, right?
Yeah, his directorial debut.
Debut, yes. There was a better term for it. You got it. You said it.
Well, some pronounce it debut.
Debut, like denouement would be denouement. 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 You know what I'm talking about?
Directional debut. I don't speak French.
I don't speak French. This went way off course anyways.
Yeah.
Jordan Peele's first directed movie, as far as I know. I was going to pull it up just to fact check myself. In case there was something. It is definitely. Okay. We're going with that. Okay? Nobody's going to write to me, yell at me. You can yell at me.
I don't.
Okay.
I will yell at you if you...
If I what? If I don't get right to the thermometer?
Yeah.
Because I'm getting to the thermometer.
Get to the thermometer.
Tomato meter.
Oh.
Coming in fresh. Also, just like some of our previous movies. Let's say, right? I think there's been a lot of them. Audience score, though, was 86, surprisingly. Critics score was 98%.
Really?
Looked. Yeah.
Critics liked it better than the audience.
Yeah, I mean, at least according to the Rotten Tomatoes. But
that's interesting because I know he's kind of a fan favorite. So I'm curious. I bet. So here's my guess. I feel like Us. And remember this, everybody, for when we do Us eventually, the other Jordan Peele movie.
Us, yeah.
I bet that the audience score is higher than the critics score.
Yeah, probably.
I feel like that one. I Get Out's great, but I liked Us better.
Well, okay, so I'm gonna say something that could be controversial.
Okay.
I didn't like it more initially, but when I watched it on my second watch through, it's pretty equal now for me. Maybe I need to watch Us again, but I've seen Get Out a few times now, and I think Us twice. But I don't know why the second watch through really made it sink in. Maybe I just didn't quite follow some of it.
A lot of people
trying to make it make sense.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that movie experiences can be altered depending on, who you're watching it with, where you're watching it. Like
what substances you're under the influence of.
Yeah.
Which also I will say on this third watch through of Get Out, I think the first half, because I watched it in 2 sittings, I was kind of high on. So I was just saying, but because of that, there were so many things that felt like they were clicking, and it's the same stuff like when you watch something again, you're like, oh, I already know this is going to happen. I see this, but it seemed like every single thing, it was, you know what it was? It was, I wish I wrote down the specific examples and I'll try to think of them, but it was a lot of the dialogue from the girlfriend was a lot of the dialogue. It was almost like doublespeak the whole time, even talking to the cop and everything before that.
Right.
I'd have to go back through it and break it down maybe, but I was like, wait, she's doing this for this reason, but it can also mean this when she's saying it, which makes me think the cop's in on it. I'm like, no, he isn't. That's what makes it even better. He doesn't know her. There's just like so many layers to it, it felt like. I was like, oh my God, this is so great. And again, I was kind of, under the influence. Yeah. So maybe it's a bit exaggerated in my own head, but it made me enjoy it a lot more. I'm going to stop talking because I just yammered on for a lot there. No, what did you think of it, sir?
I enjoyed it. I mean, it's one of those movies that I remember seeing the trailer for. I remember all the hype around it, and like I kind of knew what to expect going into it because there's some racial tension, and that's just kind of that's what you go into it immediately thinking. Like that's the context you have. And then it's another one of those that kind of subverts your expectations and gets a little weird and a little almost sci-fi, but not really sci-fi, kind of body horror almost. And like it just kind of blew me out of the water that, it's one of those that you're kind of just along for the ride. And
kind of like those in the sunken place.
Yeah, there you go. Well played. Yeah. I've got I've got some notes trying to put them in order here because they're not in order. So, like I said, there's some racial tension throughout it. Mm-hmm. It's a black man, an African American man with a white woman, and I think Jordan Peele really uses that tension to help draw us away from like the twist that comes eventually. And like he's really good at using that to have tension throughout the whole meeting of the parents and everything. And like, I don't know, her dad says, I would have voted for Obama a third time. And it's one of those like cringy type of things that you hear that you're just like.
And she even mentioned he would say that. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
About her saying stuff. She was like, almost like grooming him to expect this. And then that's what happens. And he's like, oh, okay, yeah.
Right.
But they seem like nice enough people.
Right. So it doesn't raise any more suspicions than.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, yeah, totally.
Yeah. And I just like how, we know the context of the situation that he's going into. And like, again, she also kind of grooms us for it to say that, hey, this is what they're going to be like. And, that's when, something fishy is up, but you don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you're just kind of sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride and figure it out while he does.
I really hope, thinking about it, because of the racial tension.
Yeah.
Because, I'm thinking like 20, 40 years in the future, how we watched Hitchcock and everything. It holds up. I always wonder about that kind of thing. Or if it was going to have to be, I guess in my head, I have this world where I go, oh, we'll get past a lot of this racism. And so if that were to happen, then I don't know if it'd be lost on other people. I'm kind of stumbling over my thought here. Basically, like, my son's 6, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't know if he's going to grow up with the same view, right, on racism, that those alive now, at least that are old enough and watch this, would totally get it
right
now. But in 20 years from now, or like 20-year-olds going to really see it the same.
Understand the context.
Yeah. Which they may, because I know there's been, like, say, interracial couples for a long time, but there's been such a disdain that it still hits us on something now.
Yeah.
Even if the civil rights and everything movement happened a while ago, we're still feeling the effects, because
it's still an issue.
Change doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
So, which also makes me go, maybe in 50 years it won't be drastically different, and I'm being overly optimistic. But
right.
As I've gotten older, I've gotten more optimistic.
Yeah.
So
she kind of grooms us into, this is how my parents are going to be. And he kind of goes along with it, accepts it. So do we. Mm-hmm. And you get the feeling that something is off. And because of the context of the situation of it being an interracial couple and all this stuff, your mind automatically thinks that, oh, it's going to go this certain way. And then again, he subverts the expectations and takes it a completely different way that I didn't expect and didn't think about at all. Mm-hmm. The tension kind of comes to a head with the dinner party, or the dinner scene with the brother. Not the dinner party, because it's like a lunch later or whatever.
Yeah, a little. Whatever.
But her brother comes in and is just kind of chaotic.
That's the other thing, is the brother's the one who, it just seems like, oh, he's kind of a crazy brother and he's whatever. But then you go, oh, no, he has some weird issue with black people.
Right.
Just like specifically, like, really wanted to wrestle him or manhandle him.
Right.
Or something. It's just like weird, because he wants to show, I guess, his dominance or something.
Yeah.
Trying to not read into it too much, but there's just something off about that guy.
Right.
And then it was more so kind of like how they all had this image to project, and they're kind of holding back from what their real intentions were, and then there it is. And then his was just, yeah, like you said, chaotic's probably the best word. Just is all over the place.
Super chaotic. And like, I feel like he's also a good distraction from like the parents, who are really the ones that are kind of behind everything. Like he's more or less a lackey in the whole operation.
Oh, yeah.
But having him be so strong-willed about, you know, those things really kind of takes the attention to him as, like, this is going to be, you know, this is going to be the guy I have the issue with. Oh, the dad would have voted for Obama third time. Like, he's an ally kind of thing, but the aggressive brother
definitely might be an issue.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so they all have their roles, right? So the girlfriend has what's her, Rose, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's Rose. Rose lures in. The brother can, I guess, move their body around, help them with that. He's not like a big guy, but maybe just because he's a younger man.
Right.
The mom does a psychological thing, at least with Chris, right? Yeah, Chris. And then the dad does the surgery and handles the silent auction and that stuff with the people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Family business.
The grandparents. That's the thing I remember the whole time is they're the grandparents, right? Mm-hmm. And then so you don't really know. What I forgot is, because I already knew that, is you don't really know that for sure until almost the end.
Yeah.
When they call grandpa and grandma. And you're like, oh, it is. Oh, shit.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, you know, we get to the dinner scene with the guy that gets kidnapped in the beginning that, like, went missing or whatever. Mm-hmm. And we see him again, and he's, you know, a cheery little something other. And I can't remember what makes him, like, oh, it's the flash of the camera.
The flash, yeah.
And that
which is so good, man.
Yeah.
It's the setup and payoff is you flash that and that happens, and then when he does it to the grandpa at the end,
right? And
then you're like, oh,
yeah, and just really good acting all around. And I can't remember what that guy's name is, but he was in. Actually, both of them were in Judas and the Black Messiah, which is another great movie that people should watch. And then he ends up wandering over to the art dealer, like. They have all those awkward conversations with all the old white people.
Yeah.
And then he meets this blind art dealer that, like, you know, looks down upon the others almost and, you know, talks about their ignorance and, you know, he's an apparent ally through the situation.
Yeah. He's the whole thing's so weird because they're all like, oh, you like to call? They're just asking weirdest things. So the whole time you're like, what is the angle here?
Right.
Maybe, and I feel like we probably already heard once the joke from Chris's friend about them being sex slaves.
Yeah.
So then when you're seeing that, you're going, is he right?
Yeah.
And then at the end, you do go, he was basically right, though.
Yeah. He was pretty close.
That's the comedy behind it. And that's why I like, because, you know, Jordan Peele is from Key and Peele and all the skit stuff.
Right.
I've always been a fan of horror and comedy for that reason. And just him putting that in there.
Yeah.
Is so good. It makes it like a fun movie, but it has like a lot of commentary and underlying stuff. It's just such a good movie.
It's very, very well done.
Yeah.
It's like horror and comedy are both subjective and also immediate. Like you immediately know if something's funny. You immediately know if something's scary. Like there's a catharsis with both of those. Mm-hmm. You're either going to scream or you're going to laugh. And he's really good at playing the line between both of those.
It was always that kind of like with the highs and lows where there's the build up and then it would break and it's either like someone gets killed and then it kind of calms down, like for say horror, but it can also be tension where you think someone's going to get killed, but then it's really just a silly or funny moment to kind of make you laugh and then
to put you at ease after. And then build the tension again and you know, and then you think, oh well, they're probably going to make me laugh this time again, and then subvert expectations.
Yeah, so it'll keep you on the edge of your seat in that regard. And so that's the thing is when I saw this movie, I was like, oh, Jordan Peele gets it. He knows how a horror movie is done. Yeah. Or has been done, and then this is his own take on his own. It's yeah.
And I love the setup of him like being a photographer and then having this blind art dealer that, you know, wants his brain because he can't see. Yeah. And it's just
And it is cool because he actually doesn't care about him being black. He doesn't. Right. It's the eyes. I at least believe him on that.
Yeah. But to have that and have him be a photographer for that reason, but also being able to use the flash to like give him a hint of like something is up here, you know, is just such a nice, brilliant kind of like, it ties everything together so well without it being like obvious that these things are being revealed, because you don't really think about it until, you know, they're down to the auction kind of thing of, you know, this blind guy wants your brain. Yeah, just really enjoyed it. And then, so we get to like, you know, the end with him and Rose. Like Rose is like last one standing or whatever. And, you know, you're struck with that image of black guy strangling a white woman in the street where the cop pulls up. And
yeah.
And then,
it's just, and you know, she's just like, help. And I'm like, oh, you fucking bitch.
And like the cop at the beginning, you know, kind of was like, step out of the car, sir. And he's, you know, he's used to it. He, you know, and she's very like, what are you doing kind of thing. And, you know, you automatically know what's going to happen in this situation. And then again, you know, Ron comes out and it's just a nice, it's one of those, it's going to be horror or it's going to be comedy. And where you think it's going to be horror because it's like the end of the movie, it ends up being, you know, the comedic best friend who, you know, went looking for him.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And it's the whole ending there just really felt cathartic.
Yeah.
Felt like it was...
Fuck.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, what a weekend.
Yeah. I forgot what they say in that car. It was just like, I told you not to go to the house.
Yeah, I told you not to go to the house.
Not like, oh, there's dead people.
Right.
Just like, I told you not to go to the house.
And I mean, yeah. And even, you know, even the dad talks about how, like, they're in a secluded house. Nearest house is 15 miles across the lake or whatever. And it's just a good setting that doesn't feel like a horror setting. It's like a nice, rich house. And, like, for being a horror movie, it doesn't feel, like, dark. There's not a lot of, like, contrast lighting. It's kind of bright interiors. Except for the tea scene. I feel like that had some...
Yeah.
But just visually, it's another one of those that, like, it doesn't lead you to the horror right away.
I think the dark lighting when that's there is... I mean, the lights aren't on it. But yeah, when she's doing the hypnosis... whatever thing.
Right.
And then obviously when he's sinking into the sunken place.
Right.
Which is very interesting because you do like a screen
like
view,
a vignette.
Right? Like yeah. And so that's the other thing, man. It's also got this kind of interesting artistic style with some of those things like that.
Yeah.
Specifically falling in the sunken place is really cool. And you feel like you're falling with him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I like how her way in was, oh, how long have you been smoking? You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just such a, like, is this just a crazy mom that, like, listened to some hypnosis tapes and it worked for her and now she's trying to get everybody to, you know? And it's just, it's an easy way for them to get his guard down so that they can get him in the chair. And
there's not a lot. I think at the end of this, I was practically jumping up and down going, I see nothing wrong with this movie. I only see like the whole thing being so good. That's why I smile when I'm talking about, because I'm trying to see where can I poke holes, and I'm sure there's some sort of plot things that I could, but I don't know, like all of it tied together just is done so well. The other guy that already had this happen to him, I don't know if they did it the exact same way, because don't we follow him? Like you said, he's in the beginning, and then they capture him.
Yeah, they like take him in the. I think it's her brother that like
does
pulls
that, right?
up, and then
So I want to know, because then she obviously did the dating for the one that the grandmother took and the grandfather took, because you see pictures. I mean, it's her.
Yeah.
Rose.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
I was trying to think.
So he was like kidnapped rather than.
Yeah, I don't think they went about it the same way every time, right? Because we got 4 victims basically, right? Chris being the 4th though. That the 3rd one that seemed to be the newest, it seems like they did it a different way, and I don't know if they would have done a hypnosis type thing with him, because it seemed like with Chris they had to get to know maybe like one of his faults or like flaws, like the smoking thing, to really hint at, oh, I'm going to do the hypnosis thing. So it just got me wondering, maybe this is the first time they did this. No, but the way that they seem to make it work for it to make sense is put him in the sunken place. This is where I'm trying to poke holes, I guess, because I'm thinking there's probably no actual, or maybe there is, I'm just ignorant, is with the way they do the brain surgery, but it was like kind of leave the motor functions there but remove the part that would probably contain memories and other stuff, right, or at least some of your memories, and so you could function, so you're there's 2 people living in the same body then, basically, in the mind, and then to make sure that you can still have control. I don't know. I was trying to make that make sense in my head, and I don't know if you really need to have it be perfect to have it work for the movie, so I'm probably being nitpicky. But then the other thing was, well, how did they do it with the other victims? I was just curious about. Again, doesn't really matter, but I was just thinking, oh, maybe they've had to perfect it, and this is actually the best way that they could do it, but it still didn't work because, well, 1, Chris is smart. 2, he has another thing that paid off. I was going to bring this up, was him nervously scratching at stuff. Mm-hmm. And he scratches at that stuff and then is able to get that lint or cotton or whatever to put in his ears, and then fake it when they do the thing, which is so good. It's so good. So I just went back to something that's really good when I'm nitpicking the brain surgery type thing. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll have to watch it again too. I don't know. I just want to watch it again, but I just don't like, that's the one thing that I can think of, is I don't understand why they took him in the beginning when like everybody else seems to have been like swooned to get there. Yeah. What was his necessary like ability that they wanted to kind of capitalize on that?
It could just easily be, maybe they were premiering the grandma and grandpa, and everyone's like, oh, okay. Because think about that, Chris would have only been the 2nd time they would have auctioned, right? Yeah. So maybe maybe it was a matter of timing, and they needed to do it quickly. Right. So maybe they just did it that way. Obviously, maybe for the audience's sake, it's seeing, something weird happened to this guy. Right. And it subverts our expectations because we know Chris didn't get captured that way. Right. So we're like, what the hell is that about? Right. And so then maybe it's trying to throw us off.
And doesn't Ron talk about how one of the guys they know goes missing or something? Mm-hmm. And okay. Yeah. Fine. I'll go watch it again.
The other thing that oh wait, no, I already said the payoff thing with it. I feel like there's another payoff thing. You know what else he does though that is horror like is when the brother gets knocked out and is bleeding out a little bit from the head, and he comes back, it's like the killer coming back a second time, but even though he's not the main character, but it's just another kind of like scare thing, and he does it so good. He fucking outsmarts him by stabbing him after he makes him close the door again with his leg. It's so good, man. It's so good. Him taking the screwdriver or knife or whatever in his hand from the mom, like he doesn't give a fuck, dude. Right. Yeah. There's so many good moments in that.
Yes, there are.
Did you ever remember, because someone else pointed this out to me, and then I thought I looked it up, and I thought it was actually not intentional, but when Rose is eating the Fruit Loops with the milk, how the colored cereal is separate from the white milk. Do you know have you ever noticed?
No, I didn't notice that.
You think that? She eats them separately, like she has them segregated. That's the way I looked at it.
What?
But I think I know what the explanation was, supposedly. I don't know if it actually came from Jordan Peele himself, but that it was just a creepy way. They just thought it'd be a creepy way for her to eat them.
Yeah. Love those subtleties, man.
Yeah. That's why I like art and movies and stuff, because things are up for interpretation, and maybe that wasn't intended, but that seems like an interesting thing to point out. at the very least. And then,
absolutely.
And then the other side of it being, well, it's also just a creepy way to eat cereal. Like, why the hell would you do it that way?
Something not right with that girl.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But she's like very clever and all that shit. She's man, crazy.
You want to talk about
it's the moral of the story.
Little tangent here, but Shutter Island really turned me off of relationships for a while.
I love that movie.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Dude, that's a good one. I forgot about that one.
Final thoughts about
I think I talked about a ton of stuff from there. I again, there was something that my wife brought up, I think specifically, that wasn't, I might have to think on that, but
yeah.
Overall, good movie. Should say great movie.
Yeah, great movie.
Big fan.
And he's got
very cathartic at the end. I felt satisfied.
Right.
Every little thing seems just right. I'll probably go watch this again this week. Just because.
Same. Yeah. Just because talking about it made me want to watch it again and look for things.
Exactly. So there's a lot of stuff in there that is interesting. I think the same thing with when Georgina's crying.
Yeah.
You know, there's a moment where when you watch it, you're like, oh, that's weird. She's being weird. But then they do show a glimpse of it later, I think, and kind of like a flashback thing. Or maybe I did that in my own head. I don't remember. But regardless, it seems like it may be a moment where the actual woman that got taken or stolen, I don't know, what do you like? It's like body snatchers kind of thing, right? Like snatched. Was there and lucid for a moment, and then she starts crying because she also can't do anything. It's just that she's like buried deep in there, but maybe came out for a second, and he's like, okay, that's weird. Just all those little things. It's so good. Just stay out of the sunken place, though, okay, Jake?
Yeah, okay, I will.
What are your final thoughts?
Just loved it. It was a fresh take on horror that I haven't seen before, that I hadn't seen before, and I haven't seen since. Mm-hmm. Where it really built tension nicely. It knew your expectations of it, so it was able to guide you in a completely different direction than the direction that it eventually kind of snaps to. Mm-hmm. And I'm really just I like Jordan Peele. I'm excited. He's got another one coming out in a year or so. That's another horror that he directed that I'm sure will be interesting and unique and well thought out. Like, I feel like, you know, we've talked about other horror movies before where it just felt like they wanted to do, you know, a scary setting, have a killer, have a demon, have something, you know, horrific, and then build the story around it. And this just felt like he wanted to tell a good story that had horrific elements to it.
Yeah.
Rather than it being based on one certain villain or thing, it's just good. He's just really, he crossed his T's and dotted his I's.
I think you said it perfectly. He had a story he wanted to tell, and he put all these undertones of whatever he wanted, and it just tells a good story. It's horror, horrific, and a bit of comedy. So it just feels like I was really wondering if that was gonna be this is a Jordan Peele movie, you know. But I don't know if there were so many funny moments in Us, right? That was more.
I don't think it had that many.
No.
No.
Yeah. So he's not locking himself into one thing exactly either. And then he also, this is also horror, but he co-wrote, I think, on the new Candyman movie. So
I think he's produced some other horrors too.
There was something else before that I saw.
So, hey, I'm for it.
Yeah.
It's fun because, like, you know, in the 70s and 60s, you had George Romero and John Carpenter and, you know, Wes Craven and all those guys. And we didn't really have those in our generation. And now we've got, you know, Jordan Peele starting off his kind of horror universe. And we've had James Wan and,
you know, true.
There's some others out there. Oh, Ari Aster, whatever his name is. Hereditary.
Oh, okay.
Midsummer.
With Jordan Peele too, it seemed like it came out of left field because I just thought of them as comedy and skits and all that. And then,
Yeah.
and so I was very impressed. I will say it probably benefited me too, because at a mutual place of work, you and I, is where I first saw this, because it was 2017, right? And I don't even think I saw any trailers. I just had watched Key and Peele before and had been putting it off, and I finally watched it one time there and was like, oh shit, this is really good.
Yeah.
And I watched it again, I think with my wife, and then we watched it again recently. So it's just, I don't know.
I enjoyed
I
it.
don't know what else to say about it. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Well, thanks for stopping by the shack, everybody.
Yeah,
Now
thanks,
get out.
everybody. Now get out of here. Get out. Close the door. Oh, what are we watching next week, guys?
I do. What are we watching next week?
Really
We
decide.
haven't discussed
No,
it.
we talked about but there's
You know what? Just watch a bunch of Robin Williams movies, and there's probably a good chance that we'll be talking about them next week.
I have, and I think this is actually the last two might not be. So I think it's going to be Dead Poets Society next.
Ooh, okay.
Because then if we go kind of in order.
Yeah.
So yeah, everybody. So I would say
Get ready for some Robin Williams.
Robin Williams, Dead Poets
we've
Society.
said it before that we didn't intend for this to be a horror podcast, but we've done primarily
12.
horror movies.
Yeah, it's 12 episodes.
12 episodes of horror movies. So we're going to branch out and try something different because I believe these will all be timing out around Halloween.
Yeah.
And then
I
we're
think the
going to
last
move
one's
past
like
that and do some different things. And we both like horror. I'm sure we'll do more horror as more horror comes out and we decide that we want to watch more horror. But, you know, we're going to take a little turn and take it easy for the holidays. Sorry, horror fans. I guess the Robin Williams fans will just have to come in. Well, all right, everybody.
Yeah,
Get out.
Yeah, get out of here.
Get out.